Hi there, it's Shell, and today we are going to talk about junk journaling basic covers. So I won't be going into a lot of detail. Well, I kind of will, but the ones that I mention are not the only way that you can make a junk journal cover. So I just wanted to go into the most simple ways. So on this one, we just used a book cover, and then we used the binding and a cinch. So this is a really simple way if you already have a cinch. If you don't have a cinch or a book binding machine, then you could just pop holes in here and use those individual rings, or you could use fabric or ribbon, whatever you wanted to do. So that's one way you could do it. I think this is one of the simplest ways is to repurpose a book cover. And this is just a Reader's Digest book. I picked it up at a Goodwill, but you probably have some books laying around that you could reuse. So what we would do with this book is we would just open it, we would remove the pages, and I will show you how to do that. And we would just reuse this. So, but I have some other ways. So, one way that's very popular is to use fabric. So this is a thicker fabric, but you can use any weight that you want. And here's some of the ways that I've seen people do it. If you use this envelope, which I think is like a 9 by 11, and go around this, then you can make you a cover also. So this is a pretty simple way, you know, especially if you're using some fabric, you want to make it a little bit stiffer on the inside. Then this is an excellent way, and these envelopes are a great size. So you don't really have to cut anything down, but if you're using like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you can just fold it in half for your signatures and put it in here, and it will be the perfect size. So that's another way. You don't have to have the envelopes. If you just have some cardstock, then you could use that on the inside. This would be a little bit smaller, so you would have to probably cut your pages down, but it's not that big of a deal. You're not cutting them down a whole lot. If it's not long enough with regular paper, you can always put more than one piece together. You can cover it. You don't have to use material. You could use other paper. You could use cardstock, anything like that. If you want it to be heavier, you could glue two pieces together. Same if you wanted it to be longer, you could glue two pieces together. So you can really do a lot with very little materials. And that's kind of what I'm here to show you guys, is you don't have to have really fancy things to get started in junk journaling. Okay, so here is what I use a lot of the time, and that's because we have it on hand. This is like a bowl stiffening. It's like a fabric bowl stiffening material. So it's stiffer than like batting would be, or it's probably about as stiff as, you know, a piece of paper, maybe just a little bit stiffer. But I have this, I can cut it down, I can make my spine, and I can easily cut it down for the book that I want to do, if I want to do like a soft cover book. Sorry. My little guys. So it's not that expensive if that's something that you like. You know, you just have to kind of play around and find what you want to use. Sister. Sorry, she just heard me talk, and then they get lonely, especially we were all just taking naps, and I think she heard me talking. So that's another way to do it. And some of these, what I like to do is use that just a spray glue, and then you can glue that down and sew around it if you want to do it like that. So there's all different ways that you can use for your covers. This is Sophia's tail. Another book is like the little golden books. These are pretty nice. They're sometimes hard to find nowadays, but you can find them at yard sales, thrift stores, things like that. For these books, you would want to take off the spine and build a new spine so that you can fit more signatures in it. But these are very popular. They're very easy to make into junk journals. They take a little bit more time than just a regular, like the Reader's Digest one. So it takes a little bit more time than this, but it's another simple way. And, you know, it could be any kind of just small children's book. Okay. Another idea is like a 3-ring binder. Well, 5-ring binder. So this is really simple. You just kind of go through here, remove some of the pages, and then put back some of your own pages. So that's a really nice way. And this one I think was like in 1965. And I'll probably go ahead and make this later in the next year or so and show you how, you know, what I'm talking about. But I will leave some links below of people who inspire me. I have Diane on there. I have Gayle Agostinelli. She does quite a few of these kind of books. So that kind of gives you an idea. And again, you can find these, sometimes you can find these, sometimes they're kind of hard, but you can find them at thrift stores or yard sales. So they're not a whole lot. I think I got this at Goodwill for $3. Okay, but say you don't have any money. Or you don't want to spend $3. And you can use game boards. So what I did is I just cut down, I think this was a checker game board. I cut it down. I went ahead and used my cinch, but again, you don't have to use a cinch. Just anything that's going to bind it together like that. And if you wanted to, you could even use this as your book cover and then make a spine to go into this. So I think that would be really fun. And like Monopoly or something would be a really fun book to start with. This is just one I did. I have it for my husband and I when we play games. So I just wanted something fun to keep our little score in. It's kind of fun. And, you know, you're just recycling. So that's another way. One way you may not have thought of is just a tiny box. You know, you don't have to make these books any certain size. It is all up to you. Whatever you can think of, you can make. So I found this little lemon jello box, and you could easily make that into a really adorable junk journal. So I have seen some journals that are less than an inch tall, and I've seen some really large ones, but the tinier ones to me are just so adorable. So that's kind of fun. And if you have these, almost everyone has these toilet paper rolls. So I'm hoping to make, you know, through this next year, I'm hoping to make journals out of all of these items. So you could use toilet paper rolls, you could cut them down, make them into a junk journal. You could bind them at the end with like your little cinch or a couple of those little hooks and make them into just little junk journals. Put some tags in it, line them, whatever you wanted to do. There are so many ways to make junk journals. So, you know, if you have another idea, I would love to hear it. And now we're going to go ahead and get started on our next project, because I do want this to be kind of like the basics of junk journaling. So I'm just going to go to just a typical book, which I think I'm just going to use this one. And we're just going to cut out, we're just going to prepare this to start making our first junk journal. So let's start with this, and I will show you how we cut out the pages. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I have just a knife. You can use an X-Acto knife. This is like a carving knife. My husband does wood carving, but he doesn't use this knife, and so he keeps it sharp for me so I can use it. So this one will give me at least a good 2 or 3 signatures, depending on how thick my signatures are. So I am just going to loosen this up. So you just want to kind of bring your finger in here and just kind of loosen it up. Sometimes you want to be really careful with that. And sometimes your books are going to be very fragile, depending on how old they are. So I'm just going to go in here and make sure I'm using the sharp side. And just cut this out, being really careful that I don't cut myself. And see what I did? I totally ripped the spine off. That's okay though. Okay. So we're going to have to make a new spine for this. But sometimes that happens. You know, the best thing about this book is, or this series, is doing things and showing you how to do them, but in just a generalized, what am I thinking? Just in a basic way. So just in a basic way. So this is kind of, see, it's already coming off the back too. I don't think, yeah, it was already broken before I got to it. It's just an old book, in fact. Let's see what. It's really old. You can tell by the pages. It's very fragile and it's nicely colored. So this is 1961. So one thing, you know, that I've learned over the years is you want to see what you can use of the book pages. So we can come back to that, but I will probably go through here and, you know, make some ephemera out of some of these pages. So Save Your Book thing, there is a girl on YouTube, and her name is Patricia Viramontes, and she makes tons of book page ephemera. So she'll make like pockets, tags, things like that out of these old book pages. Okay, so we have our ripped apart book. So this is kind of what you would have if you were doing your the golden book. So we're just going to work with this, and we're going to go ahead and make a new spine. So I'm just going to trim this down, and I'm going to show you guys how I make a spine. And you know, it's really simple. It really doesn't take a lot of time, and you can go through quite a few books by just doing it like this. So let's just do that. I like to put my first page, the front of the book here, and the back of the book here, just so I can kind of see what I'm dealing with. Here is the spine. Like I said, it's really crunchy. If it wasn't too bad, I've seen people make bookmarks out of them. This one is pretty crunchy though. We might still be able to save it and make a bookmark out of it. So I'm going to put that aside. Save everything you can and reuse it. So we'll see what we can do with that. Let me go find the materials I need to fashion myself a new spine, and I will be right back. So when you're doing a spine, you just want some good cardboard or something that you can use as a spine. This is pretty sturdy, so I'm just going to use this. I'm going to cut it down. Okay, and what I want to do is I just want to make like a 2.5 inch spine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 2.5 inches. And you don't have to have a 2.5 inch spine. I just really like working with those. I think they're a good size. It gives me enough room for like 3 signatures in my book. So, and now I'm just going to make sure that my spine is the same height as my books, my book covers. So, you can see that. Okay, and that looks really good. So now I want to cover this with some fabric. If you don't have a piece of cardboard that is sturdy enough, think about putting 2 pieces together. So, you know, usually I have shipping boxes or the back of paper pieces, things like that, where I can come up easily with a spine that, you know, doesn't cost a whole lot or anything like that. So, before I came back over, I looked for some fabric. And I think this is going to go perfect with this. I didn't really have a plan. Well, in fact, my plan was to go ahead and use the spine of the Reader's Digest, but I didn't really have a plan. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this, and this is perfect for this. It's just a odd piece of material. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball it. I would really like to keep some of the gold. I don't have to though. I just thought that might be pretty, but I might want to come back and put something over it after we're done. So I'm just going to show you how I do this. I'm just going to kind of cut it, and then I'm just going to rip it if I can. Wow, that's hard. Okay, we're just going to cut it. I don't know what it is. It's almost like a tablecloth material of some sort, you know, where it's a little bit tougher than cotton. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it all the way down because I want enough that I can wrap around the spine. Sorry about my teeny tiny scissors. The large ones I have will not cut fabric, and I've been cleaning up my craft room. So, I can't find them. My other ones that do cut fabric. So I'm trying to get that all organized because, you know, things slow down for us so much during the winter. And I kind of want everything to be ready to go when work slows down. So, okay, so I'm going to look at that. Take off some of the strings. Okay. So what you want is you want your fabric to go around your spine. So I'm just going to cut it just about right here, just so I have a little overlap. That's fine. This one's really easy to cut as far as, because you have the lines to follow. So that's pretty nice. Okay. And now we're just going to glue it into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some glue here. And again, I'm going to use Art Glitter Glue. That's just my go-to glue. And I have my paper clip in there to keep my hole open. Okay. And then what I do with this glue. You can use Fabri-Tac. I haven't ever used Fabri-Tac, but I know a lot of people do. But you just want a good sturdy glue that's going to hold your book and your, you know, piece into place. So I'm just going to kind of smear it with my finger, just because I want to make sure that it stays down really well. This is a really strong glue. It's really nice. So I really like using it for this. Okay, so I'm just going to do it like that. I'm going to take my piece here and just kind of lay it. Just kind of make sure it's about even all the way. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put these pieces together and just put a little bit of glue about as far as I need to, and smear it also. To me, I just find that's the easiest. And like this, put it together, and then just put down my item, my fabric like that, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. So, you know, it's not that hard to make a spine. It's really pretty simple. Some people use like Tyvek and stuff like that, but I don't have any. So I just use this, and I haven't had any issues. So I'm going to line this up with my spine. On the other side, and do it like that. So let me go get a paper towel. Actually, here's something I can use. And I just want to kind of clean up the glue from that edge. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then we're going to go ahead and flip it. We don't want to raise it too much because we want that to dry. And it dries pretty quick, so that looks pretty good. I quit moving it, huh? Okay, so now I can go ahead and just put it all on this part and my edges, and then we'll just fold it all over at one time. So it's pretty simple. I wouldn't use like Elmer's glue because this is a strong, like an extra strength glue, but like an Elmer's glue just is not strong enough. So you just want to make sure the glue you use, especially for the construction of the book, is a really nicely strong glue. I just want to make sure I have enough all over it. And again, this is just my way. There's a lot of other ways out there. So be sure and, you know, look around on YouTube and get some other ideas on how to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead, put that down here, and wrap it around like that. So where I had this piece here, I need a little bit more glue. So this gives you like a finished look on the top and the bottom of the book. And this glue dries really, really quick also. So it really doesn't take all that long. Get my little Kleenex here. I'm just wiping off any excess glue. Okay. And it looks pretty good on that side, and it looks pretty good on this side. And one more thing I like to do is just kind of come in the center where the two pieces meet up and just kind of pressed down. It makes it look nicer, I think. And, you know, it doesn't kind of ball up too much when you do that. And then do it on this side. That side looks pretty good. So, I think it looks really good. I really like that material. I think that is really cute. So this side balled up a little bit too, but there we go. And that's kind of how it looks when it's done. So we will cover, you know, this part later, just to make it kind of fit in more with the cover and cover up any raw edges. So for now, I think we're going to call it good. And this is how to create just a very simple book cover for your junk journals. So if you have any questions or any other ideas about book journals, then leave the comments below and I try to answer every comment. Thanks for watching. Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And what we're doing now is a series on making a junk journal out of a Reader's Digest book. So thanks for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day.